Hello and welcome to a little Christmas Q&A. In the last couple of days I've asked both on Instagram and on my community tab here on the channel for some questions to answer in this video. You guys have been really awesome. You've sent me a lot of really good questions. Some have already been answered in other Q&As, so if yours isn't included in this video, then it's probably because I've already answered it. But I am trying to include as many questions in this video, so hopefully I will have your question in. So let's jump straight into it and start off with Vicky's Aviation 360, who asked, how do you manage to keep so many models safe without them breaking or getting dusty? I think the not so secret is the fact that I keep them in their original packaging. When I get models, I usually take them out, inspect the model, make sure that it's all right, put them back in the box, and then only take them out when I need to record them, whether it's taking pictures or filming them. And then as soon as I'm done with that, they go straight back into the original packaging and stay there. Harrison's Gemini Jets 001 asked, how many planes are in your collection? And currently there are 712 models in my collection. Pierre Lauritz Hansen asked, which size has the setup of your Philadelphia airport? And I just measured it. It's 130 centimeters by 90 centimeters. Mackenzie Ross 48 asked, should there be more variety in scale 500? Yes. Mackenzie Ross 48 also asked, should there be more cargo planes? And that's also a yes. And I would say definitely more narrow body cargo planes like the ATRs or 737s, because you don't get that in scale 500. The plane photographer, which airline should Herpa make a model of that it hasn't yet made? EasyJet. Flynn Manigal, what do you prefer, 777 or A350? I mean, the 777 is something, but I guess just because it's a more modern aircraft, the A350, but I could be convinced otherwise. Leo Pronounceable, I hope I said that correctly, ATR or DHC, that would be ATR for me. P. Batelka, are you planning to buy a Boeing 737-500 of Czech Airlines in the 80th anniversary? I know the aircraft model, I've seen it many times, I've many times been close to buying it, but I haven't bought it yet. And honestly speaking, I don't think it's that high on my list. I think that's also the reason why I still don't have it. Jorms Atmaus, I hope I pronounced that correctly. What is your favorite airport? That would be Munich Airport. Then we have Susana Bartolomeo Garcia. What is your favorite aircraft? That would be the A220. But of course, if you know the channel, you know that I have a special place in my heart for any Jumbolino. What is your favorite airline? That would be Swiss International Airlines. Will you ever make another surprise unboxing like the one that you did on Halloween? I mean, firstly, Herpa would need to make more of these kind of boxes. I'm not sure, to be honest. The video did okay on the channel, but it is a quite expensive video to do, and I don't know. I think it's unlikely, but never say never. Infinitely Airborne, where do you purchase most of your models? New aircraft models I mainly buy from the Aviation Center Berlin, unless I'm able to travel, which of course this year hasn't really been the case, then from random shops around Europe. Or for example, the visitor center at Munich Airport is a great place to go. If I look for older models, then eBay is a good place. All right, so Alex Ivaskovic asks, when do you think Herpa will release the Embraer E2 model? I'm hopeful that it will be in the next year, so 2021. They did talk about it during the Herpa Wings Instagram live stream they did on their open days. I did cover that live stream in a video. I will let it pop up somewhere in the corner if you want to see more about what they said at that time. I don't think they will make all of the E2s, they said that. So it's probably, I think the E90, E2, maybe E95, E2 I think is fairly safe. The question is just when, and I mean, there is no way to say at the moment. I hope for 2021. I think it would be quite disappointing if it didn't come next year, but we will see. Why did you go for Cardiff instead of a German airport? Well, I mean, because at the time I kind of technically still had a German airport and I didn't want to have a second one. I think the main reason I wanted to have an airport based somewhere in Europe, but I wanted it to be outside of Germany because I already had one. So yeah. Orfeda Boy, why did you choose an early 2000s Cardiff as your airport? Aren't there better ones? If there are better ones, I guess that's something that is to the determination of each individual. The 2000s, I mean, I did also talk about that a little bit or actually quite a bit in my behind the scenes video that I released just before the beginning of season 1 of Cardiff. Because I considered quite a lot different decades, but I was mainly looking at two aspects really. One was what decade can I cover the best with the models available that have been produced and that I can also buy. And to be honest, that was the 2000s. Other possibilities would have been the 80s or 90s, but it was getting thinner and thinner, the types of aircraft models that had been produced that I could realistically use at such an airport. So I think that's really the main reason why we are in the 2000s, because I wanted to go a bit away from where we are today. And that was an area where we had quite a few models to choose from. The other aspect was then why I chose Cardiff was because I was also looking at what traffic there was in the present. For example, I can say an airport that I considered was Bristol, but Bristol has a lot of EasyJet traffic, which, given that we don't have EasyJet models unless you do them custom, isn't really an option. So, and Cardiff had a lot of Flybe traffic at the time, which was possible for me to display if I ever wanted to do a Cardiff setup in the present. It's not planned, but it was something I was looking into as well. So, yeah. Eric von Michaelis asks, how many seasons are planned for Cardiff? Initially, I've planned for 4 seasons with the possibility of making a 5th. I think for the time being, we'll just stay with 4. It's a huge project anyway, and that's really what I have planned for from day one when I started this project, was covering 4 years. I think that's a good time period. Joshua Bodycode asks, what do you use to film your Cardiff videos? Well, some of it I'm using right now. So I'm using my camera that is recording me right now. It's a Canon XF405. I'll try to show you some images somewhere here. Then I have my Canon, is it D60 or 60D? I can never remember. Some LED lights and my Edelkrone slider. Yeah, that's the material basically that I'm using to record these episodes. And then will we see a behind the scenes video soon of Cardiff? Well, I mean, I have basically already done one, which aired prior to season 1. And I have also actually done some material on Instagram, some behind the scenes stuff there, which I have uploaded some of it or posted some of it. You can find it in the Instagram story highlights if you would like to check it out. There will be some more stuff coming that I haven't published yet because I didn't want to spoil the last episode of season 2. So as soon as that has aired, I will drop the last pieces there. I might try to do something for season 3. There's definitely nothing coming right now as such, or at least not a video, because season 2 is done, it's wrapped. Everything is filmed, everything is packaged again, so there won't be anything to film or anything behind the scenes to do until I start preparing for season 3. And I might try to do something for season 3, but also in video form, but it's a bit more difficult. Instagram is easier because I can just take a quick picture or something like this, but a video is a bit difficult because I'm pretty much doing Cardiff on my own, and it's a bit difficult to be filming Cardiff and then filming the behind the scenes at the same time. And but I will try, maybe. Osborg Airport, would you ever build another airport to do airport updates on? And if so, where would it be? It's a really good question. I have many ideas, and now that we are in the darker time, in many ways, I do really feel the urge to start working on something. I'd really like to do something. I just cannot figure out where I want to place the airport if I did another airport. So I always find myself starting researching at location and starting making measurements and thinking about to which scale I would like to do that. And then I kind of come to the conclusion, oh, it's a lot of work, maybe not yet, or not right now. And then I find another location and start doing the same process again. And I've done that a couple of times now. I would very much like to do another airport for sure. But I really would like to find the right location and the right setup, because I don't want to start an airport and then like a few weeks later say, oh, by the way, now the airport is somewhere completely different. That's not really my style. If I do an airport and I place it somewhere, that's where it is and that's where it stays. Flying with Finn asks, will Munich City ever return? The good question that comes every now and then. I mean, it's also my own fault, because I said it would go on an extended hiatus, which means it would return, which has always been my intention. I think the thing, I mean, one thing is that I just cannot set it up, because the setup is so damn massive. I mean, the setup it's only 1 meter in depth, which isn't too bad, but it's 2.5 meters long, which I just cannot set up. The other thing is, of course, that, I mean, now I've had 2 airport projects, and with them I've learned a lot of how to make airports and what setups I like and what setups I like also for what are good to be filmed. And Munich City Airport, I don't really like the layout. It was a great place to start. It was the first model airport that I ever had done. I never intended to do any model airports. I only did it because there were so many people on this channel asking me, do an airport, that I then finally said, okay, fine, let's do an airport. And this is where I started. If I had to bring it back now, there would be so many things I would like to change, but it would build on a setup that I'm not really happy with. It's massive, yet it doesn't use the space very nicely, or very efficiently. So I'm stuck in this, that right now I cannot set it up, even if I wanted to. The other thing is, the setup itself, I'm actually not that keen on anymore, because I see so many other nice possibilities that I think are much better. So I think at the moment the likelihood is that Munich City will not return. I would break my promise and I will have to live with that. But I think the likelihood is that Munich City will not return, and there's a higher possibility that I would make a new airport instead. Flynn Manigal, out of the airports you made, what is your favorite? And that's a bad question. That's like choosing between kids. How could you? No. I mean, I guess I basically said that Munich City is my least favorite. It was great at the time, don't get me wrong, but I think the others are nicer. I like Cardiff because with Cardiff I can go back in time and I can make storylines over longer periods of time. I kind of do something also like that with Philadelphia, but as Philadelphia is placed in the present, I try to incorporate scenarios or things that happen in real life today, but obviously I don't know what happens tomorrow, so however or in whatever way the stories develop is out of my control, where in Cardiff I can control the whole storyline from beginning to end. So I like that aspect of making airport updates from Cardiff, but I think the airport setup itself, I do prefer Philadelphia. I think there are many nice small angles. It's really nice to film. So both have something. What would be your dream airport to build? and that comes from I can't pronounce their name, I'm really sorry, I'll put it on the screen. You know what, one project that I have been considering for a while is Abu Dhabi. Because there are quite a few Etihad models from Hyperwings, and there will be coming quite a lot more. I've been looking at the airport, I've been making measurements, I've been looking at to what extent would it be possible to do. I think I've come to the conclusion this would be my dream project at the moment, but I don't think I can finance it. I would need to have a sponsor or someone. If someone wants to sponsor me, hit me up, then we can do Abu Dhabi. I think that would be my dream project at the moment, also because it's in it's the Middle East, so it's a location that I haven't tried out yet. We could have some nice Middle Eastern traffic as well. Also from the airport has a nice or interesting design. It has obviously the terrain, so from building the airport there are some other possibilities or some other techniques to be tried out. But at the moment I don't think it's possible for me to do at the moment. Then Ulster Airport Hamburg asked, what's your favorite model? I don't have one favorite model. I don't think I could choose one because, well, I could choose one and then I would forget 50 others that I really like. So yeah, I don't really have one specific. Again, I love my Jumbolinos, even if not all of the models are that great, but I just love them with Jumbolinos. I can't resist them, but I don't have one specific favorite model. Alejandro Mendez Bernal asks, which of all your models do you think is the most exclusive? Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, I think recently I have found out that quite a few models are worth much more than I thought by talking to some other collectors, but that doesn't make them rare, it just makes them valuable. I mean, I have the Embraer E90 in the house colors of Embraer, which you can only get from Embraer or buy, at least first-hand, from the headquarters of Herpa near Nuremberg. So you can't get it in other shops normally. That, I would say, makes it a bit more exclusive or rare. What else? I mean, no, I know one model that in itself maybe wouldn't be considered that rare, but it's a 737 of Pegasus, which, as I say, in itself isn't that exclusive or rare, but it is a sample model, so it's a one of a kind. So I would guess a sample model would qualify as a fairly exclusive model. Then Leon K11 asks, what are your expectations for NG in scale 500 next year? High. I have high expectations. I mean, they have really succeeded in scale 400, and I see no reason why they shouldn't do something similar in scale 500. So my expectations are really high, and I'm really hopeful that they will have a good start in the scale 500 market, but we will see. Yellow Aviation asks, do you think that there will be more 1-500 brands in the future or even brand new ones? We've kind of already talked a little bit about that, so my answer here is clearly yes. JC Wings has kind of hinted that they would do more scale 500, but whatever that will be, we don't know. I would certainly love to see JC Wings make more scale 500, and as I said earlier, I'm really excited about NG models entering the scale 500 market. Miniature Airports asks in that regard, what is your opinion on NG, and do you have a wish for the first model in scale 500, in brackets, livery? I mean, generally I have a positive opinion of NG, and I'm saying that without having a single model. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but it is my impression that NG models has a fairly good standing in the scale 400 community. And I would be very surprised if that would be any different when they're entering the scale 500 market. My impression is that their models are of really high quality and of great detail. And again, I don't see why that would be any different when they come into Scale 500. Honestly speaking, my wish would have been that their first model would be an A320 EasyJet, but that won't happen, at least not for now, because the first models, and we already know that NG will make in Scale 500, will be the 737 and the 757. So there are plenty of options to choose from. I think personally I would hope that NG model makes some aircraft that, one, are covering airlines that are fairly mainstream, and that's because I want them to have a good start in the market. So if it's of some obscure airline, that then it can still be a great model, but it's not that sure that people will buy it in great numbers. Whereas if they were releasing a 737 or 757 of a well-known airline and the model looks great, then I think the numbers would come quite easily, and it could give them an idea about the potential for the market. I mean, if they made a 737 Ryanair, they would right away be very popular. So something like that could be a great option. Aero 25, do you think Herpa models will be better and faster? So released faster. Better? No, I have no belief that they will improve anytime soon. Only if they start feeling pressure from other manufacturers. I don't think they will have any incentive to do anything different than what they do at the moment. And faster, potentially. Apparently they have moved production site, or moved into a bigger production site, which I guess theoretically would mean that they could then also produce faster. But I think there are also limitations as to how fast they can do, because they do need licensing, and it takes time to get licensing, and they're also not very good at getting licensing. Sorry to say so, but yeah, we've seen that in the past. So there are limitations, which are totally fair, and then there's just the typical Herpa things that only Herpa understands. So better, no, faster, perhaps. LBW Aviation, what mold do you want to change the most? I mean, Herpa has some great molds, and they have some really bad molds. I think right now I would like to change the A320 mold, because it has just decreased in quality dramatically. Herpa says that they haven't changed the A320 mold, but the fact is that the A320 today looks differently than it did just a few years ago. So they have changed something, whether it's the mold, the way, whatever they do, they have changed something, and it looked better in the past. Look at an Airbus A320 model from Herpa Wings in Scale 500 from 2008. It will blow you away when you compare it to a model we get today. It's like day and night. And the 2008 is the better one, just so we're clear here. I would like them to change that. I would like them to change the mold, so the shape especially of the cockpit and the nose. Change the landing gear. If it's a Neo, change the engines. We have the 737 MAX that is frankly a disaster. The mold itself is good, but then we have, of course, the terrible landing gear, the ridiculous engines, and the really ugly winglets. A good example, for example, of a really good mold is the A330. Herpa has absolutely nailed that one. It's looking really good. But I'm really concerned there because, for example, the A330 and the A340 mold is pretty much identical. And the last A340 we got looks horrendous. It's the Lufthansa one. I've made a review of it. And they've definitely changed something there as well. It just doesn't look nice. The landing gear is too high and the mold looks terrible. Again, Herpa says, no, we haven't changed anything. But, I mean, we have eyes. We can see that it looks different. So I'm concerned that they're also changing the A330 mold, which would be a real shame because it's a really, really good mold. They shouldn't do that. But yeah, I think right now just the A320 at the moment, because it's one of the molds or one of the aircraft types we get the most models of. So it's a shame that it is so bad at the moment. The plane photographer, will you ever stop collecting models? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, not right now, especially not with NG models coming into the market. I'm really curious to see how they will be doing. But perhaps, I mean, if at the moment I'm still having fun with it, I'm enjoying myself. If that changes, then I will stop. But as long as I'm still happy, I like to complain about Herpa, I know, but it doesn't mean that I'm not happy with the hobby itself and the hobby of collecting models, die-cast aircraft models and all that comes with that, the community, talking with other collectors. As long as I'm still happy with that and enjoying that, and as long as I can still find also some older Herpa models that look really good and find them somewhere on eBay or with the help of a collector, then I will stay and I will continue. Okay, so the final question of today's video comes from Aviation JFK, and he asked about my favorite special livery aircraft. And that's really, that's a good question. I mean, there are, again, many really terrible special liveries, but there are also some really good ones. I mean, we could say, for example, it might be a bit boring and a bit basic, but like, for example, the A321 Lufthansa in the retro livery with the like 60s livery of Lufthansa. That's a beautiful aircraft, it's a beautiful livery, it looks great on the A321. But my favorite, there is the Qantas Centenary livery that they have on the 7879, which I think has some really awesome elements. I like the colors. I really love that they have like the old Qantas logos on the fuselage. Looks awesome. Oh, there's so many. I mean, there's also, Asia has like tons of special liveries. I think favorite probably at the moment is maybe the Iceland Air 757, the 8 years of aviation. I really like the color scheme on that. That looks really beautiful. If you've ever seen that aircraft come into an airport during golden hour, that looks really good. Not gonna lie, that's a beautiful aircraft then. So let's go with that one. Iceland Air 80 years of aviation special livery. That's my favorite at the moment. All right, guys, so that was the Christmassy Q&A for this time. I thank you all for your attention. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your great questions. There were really awesome questions in this Q&A. So with that, enjoy, if you're celebrating Christmas, enjoy the Christmas time. Otherwise, enjoy the holidays. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.